In your 20s, like when's another chance you're gonna get to do this? And if you have the opportunity, just grab it.
Your 20s are a period in your life where you can try things out.
Yeah, people literally see it as too much of a big change, I guess.
To uproot your life, move to another country. When you do come back and people are obviously gonna ask you what's this gap in your CV, take control of the narrative and be like, yes, I have a gap in my CV. It's just the way you talk about things that is more important than what you've actually done.
I never really thought about the decision as brave before. They're like, you're taking a big step and this is so brave, like I wouldn't be able to do that. I kind of wanted to say like, you're not too old, you can literally do this.
We've quit our jobs.
We've got our visas.
And we're moving to Australia. Along for the ride. Hi everyone, I'm Vicky and welcome to my channel, Vic's Vlogs. I recently started this as a travel vlog, but my travels don't start until 2 months' time. So subscribe if you're interested in coming along on my and Jamie's travels. Today's vlog is a fireside chat with me and my best friend Jamie. So I've booked my flight and everything is nearly ready to go. Except for one thing, I need to quit my job. And so does Jamie. So we're both in a very similar position and we just wanted to share with you some of the feelings that we experience like before and after we quit our jobs, just so that like if you're thinking of doing the same thing or if you're also in the process of quitting your job.
If you have any kind of general worries or concerns about, I guess, uprooting your life and what you've known for a while and doing something completely different.
Then don't worry, because we do as well.
Don't worry, because we are here to talk you through ours and what kind of helps us and our kind of plans as well. So stick around if you want some tips.
Actually, this all came about because of you.
In what
because
way?
of your breakup. You decided you were going to Oz, and then that prompted me as well because a couple of our friends were going to be over there. So that's kind of my reason for going over. I'm just following you.
It all kind of feels like it fell at the right time, because even though me deciding to go maybe gave you the idea like, oh, I want to do that as well, there was other factors in your life where it felt like it was the right time too, right?
Yeah,
in terms
like
of your work,
my job,
feeling a bit of fatigue with that. Maybe even when we were talking yesterday and you were saying you don't actually like London that much and you feel like it's a change, like there's
my contract
little
had come,
factors behind.
True, my contract had come to an end and it was time to find another place to live. I didn't want to take out another contract for another year and commit to that. So there was nowhere else in the UK that I really wanted to live.
Yeah.
Like, if anywhere, it would be Watford, where my boyfriend lives. So we're going to be in quite different places in terms of relationships. Like, you're single, I'm in a relationship.
Single in ours, baby. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, my boyfriend's coming out, so that makes it easier.
Yeah, that'll be really nice.
Essentially, just like the reasons we're moving are relationships, work, and friends, I guess, and our living situation.
I always like to try and not pin it down to one thing as well. Like, even when you said like, oh, like you made the decision to go because of your breakup. Yeah, that happened. That was kind of like maybe a catalyst to it, but it wasn't purely just because of that. There's been like years of thinking like, oh, I do want to go traveling again. At some point. And then finally the time just comes. Yeah, because that factor there that isn't holding you back anymore from doing that, then it feels like the right time. Got to a place where I felt quite settled, but also was thinking like, oh, is this it now? Like flashing forward a year time, thinking like, oh, where will I be this time next year? I got to a point when I was like, oh, well, I'll probably just be in exactly the same place, potentially doing exactly the same thing.
Which doesn't sound very fun.
No, in the back of my, like, it sounds
nice.
Time
to make it happen.
It's nice to be settled. It's nice to be settled, but in the back of your head, you're like, there's that inkling of like, ooh, I would want to do something more. And then obviously,
something you can look back on and be like,
yeah. In your 20s, like when's another chance you're gonna get to do this? And if you have the opportunity, just grab it. And obviously, we have friends from home who have gone out to Australia. Every time one of those went out, it was like, oh, I would like to be doing that.
When Tian and Nia went over to Australia, I had a bit of like FOMO. I remember when I was at uni, I was like doing study abroad in Germany, then I had my boxing fight, and there's always been things where I remember my mum saying to me, oh, you're always doing something. And I just feel like I've waned a bit recently, where I haven't really done anything exciting, and I'm ready to do that.
Yeah. I feel like that's your 20s as well, isn't it? Your 20s is such a weird space because everyone's always doing something one step above you, and you have friends doing such different things all the time, but there's always you always have friends that are doing that next thing, and then you're always kind of striving to do that. Where there'll be people who are looking at your life and being like, oh wow, she's doing that, and I wish I could be doing that.
Yeah.
It's just a weird space.
Everyone's in different places. If you think about people in our year, not to name names, but some people have kids at this age.
Yeah.
So, as they say, just only compare yourself to yourself.
To be honest, Australia was never really massively on my radar as a place I wanted to go to travel. I knew I wanted to travel, but I think people going there, I have friends from uni who have gone there for a year, come back and are desperate to go back with, who I'm actually going with as well, Lydia. So obviously, trusting their views that it's a good place to go to.
There's lots of backpackers there as well who are
and it's also
in the same position.
And it's also, in terms of the culture there, I guess it's quite westernized, so you still have that option of potentially getting a job that's quite similar to the one you have in London or in that kind of sphere. In Australia, where I think if you moved somewhere like Asia, it might be, you would be able to get a marketing role or something like that, but it'll be quite a different culture. Whereas Australia is like very similar, but also so different at the same time. Also, I guess the timing in our life feeling right in terms of our ages. I don't want to say like, if you're in your 30s, you're too old to go, because you're not. But like, I feel like
there is that limit. You have to be.
I have less stress on me now that, like, say if I go for 2 years and then come back to London, I'll still only be 28. I'll have had like 2 years of like a managerial role under my belt anyway. I don't think it will be that hard to kind of fit back into where I was. So having that in the back of my head as like a kind of a comforting thought is good to have as well. That's
a nice segue onto the question, are you nervous to get a job? Either when you're there or when you're back, because I feel like I'm in a different place to you there as well. I guess because I probably don't have confidence in myself. Like, I haven't been in a managerial position, so I don't know if when I get back, that makes me nervous. Resting on your knees.
It's fine.
On not your own carpet. Because we're filming from Jamie's friend's house. We're looking after her dog. I don't know if I want to stay in marketing when I get back. Like, I would love to end up like getting a job editing videos, but I change my mind so often. Like, a previous manager has called me flighty because I've moved roles after either a year or a year and a half. And I just think your 20s are a period in your life where you can try things out, and I'm a big believer of that. So I don't necessarily think that I've just moved about because I'm bored, but just because I'm trying to find out where my strengths are. And it just so happens that I don't think my strengths are in my current role. Like, in some aspects they are, but then also...
There's so many options out there now, isn't there, in terms of the roles and the breadth of things you can do within marketing. And you've even seen that, like, you're like proof of that yourself, in terms of you don't have to be rigid in what you know. Like, you didn't even study marketing at uni, you studied English, and you've ended up in marketing through trying out different areas of it and then like letting that stretch out. Like, there's so much more you can explore even from your current role. Whereas I'm like, I've kind of stayed with what I know, and I think maybe that's why I feel more, I guess, confident in myself that I'll get a role again, because I've only really stayed within my expertise. Whereas because you've moved about so much, you've had to build so many new skills
again and again, from the ground up almost.
Yeah.
Would you call yourself a specialist?
Yeah.
Yeah, your specialism is brand management.
Specialist. I'd call myself an expert.
An expert. That was what I wanted to be able to do at this stage in my career. But maybe I don't want to be the expert, because I do feel this pressure from work when I'm in these situations where there's people relying on me for the answers. Like, I always told myself I wanted to be like a consultant or something, but maybe I don't.
And you don't need to be an expert yet.
I think when I'm deciding what I want to do, you always have to think about what's most important to you and what you enjoy most. And I always remember in English, I just loved just being creative and building like a storyline like out of these videos. So I think a key criteria for me in my next job is it needs to be something creative. I haven't found my specialist like niche. So yeah.
You will though.
Yeah, thanks. Help me, help me.
Help me. But yeah, I think I'm not nervous for either one, finding a job out there or finding a job when I'm back. Probably more concerned, I guess, about finding a job when I'm there, because the life's, like, the place is so different, and I don't really know how it kind of works, locking one down. And as well, I don't really have any, like, guidance on what type of job I'd get there. I'm less nervous about getting one when I get back, because I've already had a bit of confidence when I've left my current job of them kind of leaving a door open for me when I get back, even though I'm not fully confident and I would want to go back there anyway, but I've already got those skills to be able to get one, hopefully. Flash forward to me, like, in 2 years being jobless. Or
You're not gonna be. Like, I feel like you could even, you're probably well known in your field, like, am I allowed to say, Gucci brand manager, and you've done such big, like, campaigns. I'd be nervous to find a job on my own, and I'm not sponsored by Welcome to Travel or anything. This isn't an ad, but I've booked a Welcome to Travel tour.
She wishes.
So when I arrive, maybe they'll give me like a discount code I can share with you when I get there. But when I arrive, I've got a week with the tour company Welcome to Travel, and part of that is they give you a presentation on, like, what it's like to work out there and live out there, and then you spend one-to-one time with one of their reps, and where you, like, come up with a plan either for work or for travel. So I guess I could do a bit of both, but that's going to give me a bit more of, like, a security net, because they also share with you their database of, like, jobs and stuff, so I'll have access to that the whole time I'm out in Australia. But I will say, I don't think you necessarily need to do that, because so many people I've spoken to that have gone over and done their work in holiday visa, they have all found jobs, so I think it's going to be possible. Like, you don't. I
haven't heard of anyone who's gone out there who hasn't found a job, which is good to know. I know that for my first year out there, I want to make it very travel heavy, and I don't really want to be locked into anything corporate at all, because I just very much want a break of that. Again, going back to the first part that we talked about, like, that's one of the reasons why the
9 to 5. It's just,
it's the 9 to 5, yeah.
Break it.
I want to break from that cycle for a little bit. I'm not saying forever, but it just feels like heavy and a lot right now. So definitely that for the first year I want to avoid. So I think for the first year it will be more of a farm work, hospitality, kind of a more, I guess, yeah, and different type of job that I'm used to, which again is exciting. But I think then going into the second year, potentially that's where I might, if I like the lifestyle out there and I'm enjoying it, that's where I'd look to probably have a more settled kind of job, and that's probably where I might look for something a bit more corporate.
These farm jobs.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully he's not going to pee on me. Second dog to feature in my videos. He's quite cold now. Little Hanky Hank. Oh.
This is Hank. So yes, I think the second year I will probably get a marketing job somewhere, hopefully.
I was going to say, having those type of, like, difficult manual farm jobs might make us appreciate having an office job.
Being able to have weekends as well, because we probably won't be able to experience that on the farm.
It's up to you, I think, because if you're going to do 88 days, I think you can work through your weekends.
Oh, really?
That'll count towards your days, but I guess it just depends on the place you work. You don't know what their rules are and stuff, and yeah. I wonder if we'll end up working together out there doing on the farm days. Work.
I know I don't want to be on one of those farms where you get paid by the pick.
By the pick?
Have you seen those?
Yeah, you want to get paid by the hour, right?
Get the hour, because, like, you can get paid by literally how many blueberries you pick, so if you're having a really shit day or, like, unproductive and you don't pick many blueberries, then you don't get much money, which I don't want to do.
Avoid. But we're going to do another video on, like, our plans in Oz, so yeah. Stay tuned and subscribe for more videos and more of Jamie. So, feelings as we had to quit our jobs. I have a video of myself before and after I quit my job. And you don't care, and you don't care, and you don't care, and you don't care, and you don't care. Let's go traveling. Have a little practice. I would recommend making sure you write out what you're going to say on, like, a sticky note or some notes somewhere on your laptop, so you can practice exactly what you're saying. Because I wrote out what I planned to say and I asked David what he thought, and my tone wasn't right, so I've had to change the way I'm framing it. It's done. I took a shower for it and everything. I told them the news. a weight off my chest. And the best part is I can actually start being honest with people and telling them where I'm gonna be, publicizing it. I can put it on my social media. I can share these vlogs. My managers were supportive. I think they have to be, really. If you've got a good team and a good manager, they'll completely understand.
I wish I had done that because I was so scared before mine.
Were you?
Yeah.
I can imagine you getting really anxious.
I was anxious. Because
you tend to be more of an anxious person, don't you? But like, I feel like if you have a big build up to it, like my boyfriend did.
Yeah.
He was like week by week, he was like, I'm going to do it this week.
Did you not have much of a build up?
No, I wasn't even planning to tell them. I had a call in with my managers and it wasn't about anything related to development or anything. It was just a random call and I was like, right, I'm just going to tell them at the start of the meeting just to get it over with.
I had a massive build up to mine. Like, I knew it was coming. I had set a date, like, this is the week that I want to do it. And I knew that was coming up. So it was almost like an awkward, like, anxious countdown to that.
So tip number 1 would be check your notice period. Jamie's was 3 months.
I had a 3-month notice period.
Which is so important.
Which is a while, to be honest. I was quite scared, to be honest, to leave mine. I got a lot of mixed opinions, I think, in work as well. And some people, obviously... They
know your manager.
Super happy for me and, like, understood the decisions of, like, what led me up to going. And kind of the context and everything, and really understood that. But then I had a few more corporate head kind of friends who were like, I think they were happy for me, but they were like saying, you're gonna have such a big gap in your CV, you probably should try and get like a marketing job out there as soon as you go, because it's not gonna work out well for you if you have such a like big 2-year gap, which I think is kind of unfair, and it is bullshit basically, because one, I think traveling is character building anyway, and any kind of business will find that an attractive trait to you if you have that confidence and you have that drive to do something else for a couple of years or see another side of life. And also 2 years isn't a massive gap in the grand scheme of things. You still have those skills there and you still build them, so I don't think there's anything to worry about.
Off the back of that, tip 2 would be take control of the narrative. Like, when you do come back and people are obviously going to ask you what's this gap in your CV, another question I have is like, what do I do with my LinkedIn?
Yeah.
But yeah, tip 2 would be take control of the narrative and be like, yes, I have a gap in my CV, but I saw the world and like I've now done that. It was something that I wanted to do, like on my bucket list. I'm not the type of person who would just like have a goal and not strive to achieve it. So you could always spin it in that light. Like, it's just the way you talk about things that is more important than what you've actually done.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, the LinkedIn thing, because I always get recruiters and stuff, you'd assume they read your profile. So I've just put on my description, taking a gap year, no.
Have you already put that on there?
Yeah.
Really?
Because they're contacting me now. I get at least one a week, like probably more than that, but like at least one. And I'm just like, go away. I'm not going to check my LinkedIn. I'm just not going to check my LinkedIn for a year, and then to come back to that many messages.
But if you are worried about leaving or worried about telling your manager because you're going traveling, honestly, it's never as bad as you think it is. No person who's worked in a business is gonna judge or make it hard for you because you're leaving.
And at the end of the day, everyone's replaceable.
Yeah.
So
they have that second of like probably about 30 seconds when they're like, oh shit, like they're leaving.
And that will happen when you start to tell them, like those first 10 seconds, they know what's coming, like they know what you're about to say. So they're kind of the most important bit, really, because that's when they start to process it all off, and then, what they're going to say. And
then it's business at the end of the day. They'll have that shock, but then straight away they'll think, oh, what are we going to do to replace? And they'll start putting those next steps in their head, because it's not personal, it's not a personal thing. One tip as well, potentially, if you do think your manager might be particularly shocked you're leaving, or you think it's quite out of context, is maybe kind of start to drip feed a little bit, or maybe slightly really subtly hint about your friends going traveling and that appealing to you kind of over time, or if you know there's a point where you want to hand in your notice, maybe even just put that meeting in quite far in advance. Say there's some topics you want to discuss outside of work. They might then already kind of talking himself into it before you have that conversation, so it's less daunting and less kind of a shock.
I think the build up for me was where I started to feel like a bit like a liar, because people at work were asking, oh, you're moving out of London, oh, where are you moving to? And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna live in Wales and with my boyfriend for a few months. And then when I finally told them, they were like, oh, it all makes sense now. That
happened to me as well. I feel like, because I as well moved home to obviously save on London rent, because I was paying a ridiculous monthly fucking rent of £1 a month, and I just couldn't save in London.
Another contributing factor, just London's just so expensive.
So expensive.
Everyone was kind of saying, well, some of the younger people were saying like, oh, I'd love to do something like that, but I can't. I can't make it happen. Like I wouldn't.
But you can. That's why I've got that a lot, and I've been thinking, like, people in work have been going, you're so brave for doing this. And I never really thought about this decision as brave before, but they're like, you're taking a big step and this is so brave, like I wouldn't be able to do that. I wish I could be doing that.
Right.
You scared me. But no, I don't know, like I kind of wanted to say, like, you're not too old, you can literally do this.
Come with me.
people literally see it as too much of a big change, I guess.
To uproot your life, move to another country. Yeah.
Are we being silly for not seeing it as brave, or are we just being young, wild and free?
But I have moved to another country in the past, but it was like, I knew it was a short-term thing.
And yours was, I guess, for a reason, wasn't it?
Yeah, to study. So I knew I'd have structures in place, like, oh, there'll be other students, like, I had like 2 other girls on my course going out there, so I was like, oh, you know, I'm not worried about making friends. I couldn't look after myself back then, and I lost my valuables,
As soon as you turned up.
Oh yeah, it was like on the first day, lost all my things. So I'm hoping I'm a bit more responsible now. And that's one thing I want to do, and why I chose to go to Oz. I want to like prove it to myself that I'm mature enough to like go out and look after my things. I'm hoping that, you know, this camera doesn't get stolen, all my things, but...
Flash forward to you filming an iPhone. It got stolen.
We'll just do a whole vlog on flash forwards that things we didn't see coming.
Should we do a predictions vlog?
Oh my god, should we?
Yeah.
Predictions. Oh, that's starting now. Done with this one. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found that useful.
Now you've got some great tips if you're going through the same sort of thing as us.
Sorry there was a bit of waffling. Kind of new to this whole thing.
Yeah.
But hit that subscribe button, because next week we'll be talking you through our plans and predictions for what's going to happen when we're over in Australia.
Ooh.
Some of them might not work out.
Some of them might, and that's the fun of it.
So,
bye.
Bye. Bye.